Hi everyone, after 5 weeks in Suffolk, I'm now back at my desk in Surrey. I've kind of just cleared a space to put these LIGHTFAST tests. I wasn't planning on filming this today, but when I got back into my studio, I looked at the windowsill and it was a complete mess. I have loads of succulents on it and they're dropping bits everywhere. The LIGHTFAST tests were kind of in amongst all of these or kind of against the window. And it just looked a mess and I wanted to clear it all up. These LIGHTFAST tests have been on here for varying degrees of time. We're going to be looking at the Holbein Acryla gouache. They're these big sheets. So I'll talk to you about those in a moment. One of them is the window sheet and the other one has been in a drawer for the best part of a year. We have some inks. When I only had a few inks, now they've been on the windowsill from August last year. I have these ones that have been on the windowsill for nearly a year. We'll talk about those obviously as well. I'm not going to tell you what they are at the moment. We'll go through all of that. And then I have these ones that have been on the windowsill for 6 months. Those are Prismacolor pencils. So we're going to be looking at all of these. I really just want to get them off the windowsill now. It's untidy and I think we can gauge whether things are going to fade or not. As I said, the most recent ones have been on there for 6 months. The other ones have been on here for nearly a year. So what we'll do is we'll go through them and we'll just see what has remained LIGHTFAST, what hasn't. And I think that for now, that will be the end of my LIGHTFAST tests. This has been a little bit of a series. If you haven't seen the other ones, you can go back there in a playlist. You can look at them if that interests you. I know that quite a few of you are interested in the lightfastness of certain art supplies. I've only really been testing things I was uncertain of. I wasn't too uncertain about the Holbein acrylic gouache. It was just, I was more curious than anything actually to see whether any of them would fade. I didn't think they would fade, but we will have a look and we will see. But the other things, yeah, I wasn't too sure. And you may remember I did watercolors as well. So yeah, if you're interested in all of that, you can go back, look at the playlist and have a look at the older videos. But I think for now, we'll go through the results, we'll have a look and see whether they're faded. And the only other thing I really want to test the lightfastness of is I have bought quite a few inks recently. So maybe later in the summer, I might start lightfast testing those. But yeah, for now, we're just gonna wrap up all of the ones that I've shown you before. I'm just gonna clear these away. We'll pop those over there. These are the ones that have been in the drawer, so we're going to pop those on that side. And we're going to just look at these. Now, I don't know how well this will show up on screen, but I'm going to look at it and I'm going to tell you whether I notice any difference whatsoever between this sheet, which was the sheet in the window. You can tell actually because this is really quite dirty. It's been there since the 30th of July. So we're at the beginning of June now, so over 10 months this has been in the window. It's been right up against the window, so it's had a lot of sunlight. This room gets a lot of light and gets it for most of the afternoon, way into the evening. It actually is opposite the sunset as well, so it has the sunset on it every evening. So I'm going to go through the top row. Let's have a look. I can barely see a difference between this one and this one. So this has been kept in a dark drawer with no light on it for 10 months. And I can't see any difference in those. There's no noticeable difference. The second row, all of these blues seem to have remained really lightfast. I mean, there might be, I don't know, just like maybe a tiny fraction of, I would say, rather than fading, more of like a dulling of the colour. But honestly, it's barely noticeable. And when you consider you would never hang a painting, I mean, these haven't been like in a frame. They haven't been just hanging in a room. They've been up against the window, and you'd never hang a painting like that. They've really held up well. Okay, the next row, let's have a look. I think the greens look really good. I can't see a noticeable difference in any of those. I don't know whether you're seeing anything on camera. It looks pretty much the same. I think we're going to see some difference in this row because I can already see that the coral red looks different. Okay, the primary yellow, the mustard, no, they look pretty much the same. The jaune brilliant or jaune brillant, is that how you say that? Maybe slightly paler, but barely noticeable. Actually, I'm really surprised that the pale peach, the shell pink, the primary magenta, rose violet and pure red, they're all completely light fast, I think, because I can't see any difference. The only one on this sheet that has changed is the coral red. So you can see here it's a much more of an orangey coral. Here it's faded to, I would say, more of a pink really. It's still a really strong colour, but it's just lost that orange look. So yeah, I think we can say that the only one that's really faded noticeably out of the selection I had when I did this, I basically tested every colour I had in July of last year. I've since bought a few more, but I didn't add those. So yeah, it's the coral red, and yeah, it's just faded to more of a pink. So that's really interesting. So it looks like the Holbein Acryla gouache are really quite light fast. Okay, so what I want to show you next is something that a lot of you had asked me about. It's the Prussian green Daniel Smith watercolor. Now, I did the light fast test on this. This side was the one that was in the drawer, and this side was the one that was in the window. So I'm going to hold those up. Now, this one on the left, well, it contains a pigment, PB27. Now, this is a really interesting pigment because it will fade in light, but it's supposed to regain its colour if you leave it in the dark. Now, most pigments won't do that. This is very unusual. I don't know whether there are any more that do that. Maybe you can tell me. But this one had faded, this side had faded quite significantly in the respect that it lost its blue tone and faded to more of a yellowish green, but it was still a really rich, beautiful, deep colour. I put it back in the drawer after I'd finished the light fast test. So now it's been in the drawer for however long it is since I did the last video. I'd have to look that up, but it's been several months. And I would say that it has actually regained some of its colour. I don't know how well that's coming across on camera, but I can still see that this side, the left side, is slightly more yellow, but I would say it's less yellow than it was. And I think that it has actually gone back to looking slightly more blue. So this is how the original looks. And I think there was more of a difference between the two last time I looked at those. So yeah, it does seem to regain some of its colour when you put it in the dark. Whether it would regain all of its colour, I don't know. But that's where we're at the moment. So that is quite interesting, isn't it? Okay, the next thing I want to look at, I think, are the Prismacolor pencils. Now, I don't have many Prismacolors, but I did notice that quite a few of them are not terribly light fast when I was buying them. So I tried to choose mainly light fast colours. We need to get these in some kind of order. Hold on while I just get them in an order. So again, the left side's been on the windowsill and the right side has been in a dark drawer. Let's have a look, 6 months on. This is the 50% French Grey Prismacolor Premiere. Do we see any difference? I don't see any difference whatsoever between those. So I would say that one is light fast. Certainly light fast at the 6 month mark. So that's quite good. The next one is the 30% French grey. Again, exactly the same. I don't think it's lost any of its colour. Then we have the Celadon Green. And I'm pleased to say that that one looks exactly the same on both sides. I love that colour, so I'm pleased that that is Lightfast. I've been reluctant to use these in any work. I haven't actually used them in any professional work because I wanted to test them first. Okay, so this is called Putty Beige, and I would say that looks the same again. So Lightfast. The next one we have is Green Ochre. Let's have a look at that. That looks Lightfast to me. Okay, I think we've come across our first non-Lightfast colour. Look at the difference. That is Rosy Beige, and I did know that this one wasn't very Lightfast, but look at the colour difference. So in 6 months, 3 of which would have been kind of in the winter months, look at that. It's gone from being this gorgeous dusky pink to, frankly, it looks like it could be the French grey, doesn't it? It looks like this colour almost, or this colour. It's just incredible. I can't believe it's faded that much, actually. Look at that. Let's have a look at the henna. See whether that, that's Lightfast. There's no change there. Powder blue. This is another one that I would have thought might fade, but actually it hasn't. That looks exactly the same to me. Muted turquoise, another gorgeous colour. Look at that. No, I would say the muted turquoise is Lightfast. It's surprising how much that one changed and the others really haven't. So slate grey looks exactly the same. I would say that's Lightfast. Oops. Jade Green is the next one. Now, do I see a slight difference there? Actually, no, I don't. That looks, to me, it looks Lightfast. It looks identical. And the last one, Ginger Root. Do we see a difference? I love ginger root, so I hope not. And no, I'd say that's Lightfast. So of the colours I have, all of them are Lightfast, apart from Rosy Beige, which really, really isn't. I just cannot believe the difference in those swatches. So the next swatches were just to test this Stabilo Woody. This is like a really chunky, kind of like a wax crayon pastel kind of thing. I think it's meant for children. It does have the stars for Lightfastness. It's only got 2 stars. So I was kind of curious about this. I actually only have a black, a white and a pink in this, and the black and white are Lightfast. You can use it wet and dry, and I was curious to see whether it would be Lightfast one way or the other, whether there'd be a difference. I do remember showing you this in a previous video and it had faded a bit, so I'm going to hold it like that. Now these have been on the windowsill for nearly a year. It was in late June that I put them on the windowsill last year, and do you know what, I don't think, after the initial fading, I don't actually think that's faded anymore. It's faded from this more corally colour, a little bit like the Holbein acrylic gouache actually, isn't it? Where the coral colour kind of faded to a pink and it's just gone into this nice sort of blush pink. So there's a little bit of fading, but I mean, considering it's been in the window for a year and it's really only, I think, meant for kids or crafts or something, that's pretty good. I'm quite impressed with that actually. So that was it dry, and this is it wet. So this is the side that was in the drawer and this is the side in the window, and yeah, it's just faded from that slightly more corally pink to more of a blush pink, which I actually quite like. So yeah, not super Lightfast, but not too bad. And the last things I want to show you today are some inks I had. So let's have a look. at these and see whether they are light fast or not. Okay, this is the Diatramentis Document ink. Now, I thought this was light fast. I've heard, I think that it is, but I know they do an archival ink that is supposed to be absolutely 100% light fast. Now, I couldn't get my hands on that because I couldn't get it in this country at that time. So I went for this one and I knew it was supposed to be pretty good. It's been on the windowsill since last August. So nearly 10 months. And I would say I can see no signs of fading in that whatsoever. Not even in the slightly more diluted part at the bottom. I would say that's light fast. If it's been in the window that long with the sunshine on it every day, I mean, that's pretty good, isn't it? So I'd say the Diatramentis Document ink in black is light fast. Really pleased about that because I want to use that ink for quite a few things. These were from Choosing Keeping, these ones, these two here. So we have the brand is actually Wallace and Seymour. This is natural ink, mahogany, and you can see that this one has really faded. This has faded from this lovely sort of reddish brown through to a much more washed out looking brown. So that's definitely not light fast. The Wallace and Seymour Natural Ink Indigo. Now this is interesting because normally indigo isn't light fast, yet this hasn't changed. And it's been in the window all that time. This actually has something added to it because it has a slight sheen to it. So I wonder whether that's giving it some element of light fastness. It's kind of protecting the pigment. I don't know, but all I can tell you is that it is definitely light fast. These were the only two Rora and Klingner inks I had at the time. I actually have more now, but these are supposed to be light fast, so I was hoping they would be. This is their sketch ink. This one is the black. It's called Lottie or Lot. I don't know how you say that. They're a German company, and I would say that that is light fast. I can't see any change in either the mass tone or the more diluted, washed out ink down at the bottom there. That looks light fast to me. And this one is, I don't know how you say this either, Tia or Tea. This is their grey, beautiful grey, absolutely stunning grey colour. And I would say that's light fast. I can't see any change there. So there we go. That concludes my light fast testing for now. Those are all the ones that I had previously shown you. I can't remember actually whether with the Prismacolor Premieres I actually mentioned this on my YouTube channel that I was testing these. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know that I did with my patrons on Patreon. But yeah, that's interesting. So most of the different materials I was testing have actually been light fast. I've had a few, very few that have faded, and I wasn't really surprised at some of the ones that did. So there we go. That has been a really interesting exercise, and I would actually recommend any of you, if you're selling your work professionally and you're not sure of the light fastness of the materials, please test them, because it's really important. You don't want to sell work that then fades at a later date. So yeah, it looks like I can use most of these absolutely fine in my professional work that I'm going to sell. So yeah, if I do decide to test the inks, the other inks I have, because I've bought several more since I did this, I will actually let you know. I'll do a new video for that. But as it stands at the moment, we've wrapped up all of the ones that I'd shown you previously. I hope you found that interesting, just a little video to update you on that. And I'll be back soon with an art process video. Take care everyone, and see you soon.